Pleasant good morning. Welcome to Transwest Truck Trailer RV. We are located in Frederick, Colorado. Today, we're gonna take a side-by-side look at a 112 on my right and a M2 106 on my left. We're gonna talk about some of the similarities on those trucks and what the differences are. A lot of people always tend to ask which truck is better for me. I always tell people it all depends on what you're towing. It all depends on what you need a truck for. It all depends on your future plans on having a truck like that. So again, we've had some people in the past where they look to use it just for an RV, and later down the line they want to get a bigger RV, a bigger fifth wheel. Some people tend to use it for their business, to tow equipment, different stuff all around the United States. Some people use it on flat land. So it all depends on what you're looking for in one of those units. Will differentiate which one you should get. So again, we're going to take a front look of this two trucks right now. This one is a 2022 Freightliner M2 106. This is a Summit Hauler conversion. This is the M2 2011 M2 112. This one is a sport chassis conversion. Pretty much when it comes to the features on that particular truck, on the 112, it's kind of a little bit similar to the newer 112s, even though it's a 2011, but the engine, everything underneath the hood is pretty much the same. And of course, there's a little bit of a difference when it comes to the newer 106s. So first of all, guys, we're gonna look at the front end. One thing you guys could see, the height of the 112 is a little bit taller compared to the 106. The hood is another thing to look at. So if in case you come on a Freightliner lot like this one at Transwest, and you stand side by side next to two units, you could tell which one is a 106 and which one is a 112. So if you come a little bit closer ahead, you could, and we'll take an angle of this hood right now. You can see the size of this hood. I don't have the actual measurements, but I will get that for you in my next comparison. And then if you pan on the other side, you will see this hood is a little bit longer and a little bit taller. And that's all because of the engine underneath here. So there is a bigger motor underneath this truck compared to the 106. I'm gonna pop the hood right now on both trucks. And something to look for is the color of the engine. That's something I always tell people. If you're looking at the older models, the yellow engine will be the cat engine, and then the grayish color back in under like 2010 and under, those will be the Mercedes. Now Mercedes will take Detroit diesel will take over. So right now, the black and gray will be the Detroit diesel engine. And we'll take a look at the 112 right now. This is the DD13. This is the Detroit diesel DD13. This is a 12.9 liter engine. And some of the things you can look for too, if you just go and pan over the engine block, right now you will see a lot of information that you don't typically see. So on top of that, we'll show you the DD13. We'll show you some information about the engine, if it's a 12, if it's an 8, if it's a 9, whatever the case may be. So in this particular instance, this one will be the 12.9 liter engine. And of course, the DD13 will produce about 505 horsepower and about 1850 foot-pounds of torque. Compared to the Cummins engine, we're just gonna slightly turn over. We're not gonna try to do too much of the back and forth. I don't want you guys getting dizzy, but when you look at underneath the hood of a Cummins engine, the engine typically is red. So once that engine is red, you will either find the 8.3 or the 8.9 liter engine. This particular one is the 8.9 liter Cummins, and it does produce 360 horsepower. Anything below that, like 2021, 2020 and down, you'll get between 300 to 350 horsepower. They went up 10 horsepower on the newer models to the 2022s, 2023s. So you have about 360 horsepower on this one and about 1150 foot-pounds of torque. So you can see the difference between horsepower on the 112 and the horsepower on the 106s. So there's more power on the 112, as you guys could see. So you have more power with this unit. So you could pull more. A lot of stuff when it comes to just having a smoother ride with heavy loads, the 112 is the way to go. Anything smaller than that, the 106 does an amazing job too as well. Comparing a 106 to a 1-ton pickup, 3500, 4500s and stuff like that, it is comparison to that. So with this particular truck, we put air dryers on that system. And one of the things that does, because this truck is fully air supply, so you have air brakes, you got air ride seats, you got air suspension, so you got 2 tanks underneath this truck. So the amount of moisture going into that truck, this air dryer system right here, and again, that's a nice little way to check to see if those trucks have that. And then typically you'll find them in both 106s and 112, depending on having that air brake system. So the air dryer system, that will actually dry the air before it enters the compressors underneath the truck. So it will send less moisture in there, so that will eliminate rust and the wear and tear on those tanks. Again, with this truck here, there's different color fluids in here. You will find on both 112s and 106s. That blue liquid right here will be your window washer wiper fluid. The red over here will be your radiator fluid. If you, right above here, you have your air filter. And then if you come across the other side of this particular truck, any engine you go to, even though it's the 112 or the 106s, pretty much everything is clearly labeled for you guys. Again, you can see your power steering fluid. You have your fuel filter, water separator. You got your dipstick to check your oil. And of course, all your fuses and everything is clearly labeled on those fuse boxes. Again, I don't want to go too much comparing Sport Chassis to a Summit hauler, but since we have that difference on here right now, you can see the difference when it comes to the front grille. We do have our stamp on that front grille of the Summit hauler. And of course, the Sport Chassis, you will see their grille are pretty much simple. You do have the same 3-piece bumper, so if in case you are in an accident, you could replace either of those damaged pieces. So very easy to get a hold of. All you need is a VIN of your truck. You could call any Freightliner certified parts dealership. They will actually get that actual part for that particular truck. We're gonna look up top. You do have dual horns on both of those units. Again, you have those visors up top to color match the truck. Of course, it's a Freightliner chassis, so pretty much you got some of the similarities on the Freightliner chassis. Again, this one is a bigger truck, so you got a bigger chassis on this one. Again, the windshields, when you sit down in those trucks, the view is just one of the breathtaking features on this truck. You could actually see everything in front of you. There is no blind spots. Again, with all the mirrors you have on either side of this truck, plus the camera system we have on the Summit haulers with the Voyager camera system, seeing that view up top of your head, seeing the whole back of that truck, and of course having those huge side mirrors makes life very easy driving those trucks. Again, you guys might look at those trucks and say it's pretty big, but when you're driving it, you don't feel that. The turning radius on those trucks are incredible. So we've had videos in the past where you show the turning radius of a 110 compared to a M2, and I mean, it's just amazing to see how great it turns in a small space. So even easier than a 1-ton pickup. So yes, the truck might look a little bit bigger, but it does turn pretty well. LED headlamps in the newer models, you guys will see The LED headlamps, you will find those in the newer 112s as well, compared to the regular lights you get on the older models. Tie-down straps on the hood, you will get that on both units. Again, remember to strap those down. Very easy to clip and unclip. Anybody could do that, even a kid. But you have to be careful because this little part right here could actually snap your finger. So you got to be careful, make sure there's no skin in the way of fingers to snap in there. When it comes to the interior of those trucks, it is a crew cab. So you get the same amount of room inside those trucks. They're pretty similar. You got 4 doors, they're all lockable. They all have power windows, power locks, powered mirrors, heated mirrors as well. When it comes to the tanks, the gas tanks, you will get dual tanks on both of those units. On this particular one, we will have a 50-gallon on each side, so this one will come up to 100 gallons on this truck. This is typically the same, but on our last unit, actually, this one is actually just like our last unit. We have a 100-gallon tank here and a 50 on the other side. I've had in the past where I've brought in some 112s that had 50-50 on each side, which is 100 gallons, but you would find some of those with 150 gallons. So 100 on one side and 50 on the other. And it all depends on where the depth tank is located on the 112. So we have space here now because our depth tank is located on the back end of this unit. The last unit I had a depth tank located right next to the fuel tank, so the space was limited to put a bigger tank. So on some 112s you'll find the depth tank and one of the fuel tanks on the same area, and some of them you'll find them on the back end. So if you see that by chance, there is a great possibility you have a bigger tank on that truck. So that's a nice way of finding out what kind of tanks you will have on this truck. So remember, gas tank on one side, depth tank on the other, then there's a possibility you'll have more than 150 gallons of diesel. Storage units on those trucks. Again, the design of this particular unit, you can see the difference in storage, but again, you have options of adding more storage on those trucks, especially having that flatbed. You guys can see there is more space in that 106. Again, it's a newer truck, so the technology and the mind behind building this truck came up, and then of course using all the space we can on this bed for storage. Similar to this one, you could add a storage box in the back end. You do have 2 holes here, very easy to mount. So if in case you buy this truck, any of those trucks, and you want a storage box for that, it's typically typically up to 6 weeks to get that to you. You could actually get a storage box to match the color of your vehicle, or you could stick with the diamond plate or the spray bed line diamond plate on the storage box. We are in the early stages of building a truck for a customer, and he wants the storage box to color match the truck. So once I come in about a couple months or so, we'll present that to you guys. But there is a lot of them out there that you guys could compare and see what it looks like. And I've had in the past having storage boxes built with that diamond plate, and it will just have that flow of diamond plate throughout the back end of the bed. Again, very easy to install. We'll send that storage box directly to your location. 2 people, I've had only myself and another person lift that storage box into the bed of the truck, push it into place, and then just line up those holes. And it's one big screw that goes in here, tighten it down, and it's very safe. Same with this one. Right now, we have this plate that covers this box if you want a flat surface on the bed. If you unscrew this, it's similar to what the storage boxes will look like. So you have those 2 screws that will screw that storage box down and keep it in place. This one did come with a spare tire because the previous owner loved having a spare tire with him. So that's something, again, you could do. If you don't want a storage box, you could actually grab a spare tire and kind of lock it down in one of those holes down here, and then you have a spare tire in case of an emergency. So I've seen people in the past do that. I've had customers ask, and we order the tire to match the truck, and then we will have it installed on the back end of the truck. So spare tires, you know, can be done. It will just be at an extra cost. Again, when it comes to any of those units, you'll get some tie downs. Either you will get those tracks or you will get the actual square circle tie downs that'll be mounted onto the bed of the truck. These ones I prefer better because they're adjustable. You could go from all the way down here to the top up here, or you could have multiple areas to strap down whatever you put on the bed of the truck. If it comes to having a side-by-side, a four-wheeler, a car, whatever the case may be, that comes in very handy. Again, not to compare Sport Chassis and Summit Hauler, but again, just something to look at right now is that piece right here that allows you to back into your hitch, whatever hitch you might put on to this truck, either a gooseneck ball or a fifth wheel hitch. That groove right here, or that passage right here, makes life super easy. Instead of having to raise your unit all the way up and then having to drop it down like this one right here. But again, all depends on the truck you're looking for at the time. This is not super hard to get done, but again, you could see the increase in design when it comes to the different conversions out there. But again, this does tow a lot more than the 106s. The design is pretty much similar, and of course, there's the safety features on this unit, having the bigger windshield, having the air brakes, having the bigger mirrors, and of course, just the bigger truck to pull that weight you'll be pulling. So let's take a look inside of the Summit Hauler today. Again, this is the 112, 505 horsepower, 1850 foot-pounds of torque. You're looking at the 106 with, it does have 360 horsepower and about 1150 foot-pounds of torque. So we're gonna open up the back here and show you guys that rear back seat. Again, this one does turn into a bed, and it is DOT certified for a bed. Again, I did the measurements on one of my videos, and if you go on the DOT website, it does have the measurements to make this certified. So again, very comfortable seats. You will find that in the 112s as well, and that's why they're built that way with that back bench. Switches on these trucks, they will be in different places depending on the conversion. On the Summit Hauler, it's on the passenger door behind the driver. Sometimes you will find a switch right here on the frame of the back door or underneath the seat, depending again on the conversion. On the Summit Haulers, we do have an inverter on here. Again, we got some clips here that kind of protects the 110. That's a safety feature. You do have a 3-pin plug here, so you got 2 of them. You got 4 USB plugs, and of course 12 volts here. Cup holders, you got about 4 of them, 5, 3 up front, 2 in the back for your passengers. The cab is air ride, and of course the front seats are air ride as well. So you can come inside, Jody. I'm gonna jump in the driver's seat today. Again, to know if this truck is fully air brakes, some of the things to look for is that yellow switch right here. And of course, your tanks. If there is a primary and secondary tank up here, that means this is fully air brakes. So you have the primary tank, secondary tank, because you have air brakes, you got air ride seats, you got the air ride cab. Of course, you got the air suspension for the rear suspension. You do have pre-plumb for trailer air supply. So if in case you do have a trailer with air brakes, that is already pre-plumbed. With the Summit haulers, we have everything run in the back end of that truck. All you guys have to do is just find a spot for the glide hands, and we'll recommend certain spots for that if in case you do have a trailer with air brakes. Some of the good features or the awesome features of the Summit hauler is the design of the dash and then that middle console. I know a lot of people have asked if they could just get that middle console. It's very hard to actually get it just by itself. But again, the design that we put into this truck is very awesome. Everything is right there for the driver to reach without having to stretch too much. And then some of the features here will start underneath the stereo. We got optional switches here. Again, if you want to add a light bar or grill up front with a light bar, you have those optional switch to plug into. Right here with the arrows going in the back end of that truck, that will be our rear dump. If you switch that on, all the air in the back end will dump and will allow that back end to go down a little bit more, and we'll be able to go into your trailer without having to lift it up. And that's one of the good features too about not having that slot in the middle on the sport chassis version. With the rear dump, actually brings that truck a little bit lower, so you don't have to raise that trailer too high. Right here is your cargo light. Once you turn that on, 4 LED lights in the back will turn on, super bright lights. You got your power windows here. The 2 up front is for the 2 front windows, and these are for the 2 back. And of course, you got your power locks. You got more USB charging ports up here. You got a light test button, and you will find those on the newer models. The older models, you will have to do the old-fashioned way. Put your blinkers on, put your lights on, and check everything throughout the truck. But having this light test button on the newer models does make a lot of sense. Again, you got your traction control here. You got your marker light. Heated mirrors, you have a switch for that. Once you turn that on, a red light will turn up here. You got your red differential lock. You got your manual regen button. And of course, you have your cruise control. Cruise control, you have to turn it on to activate that. And then of course, you have your set and accelerate switch right here. This one does come with the Allison 6-speed automatic transmission. You will find it on both 112 and 106. The difference is you get the 3200 series on the 106s, and you get the 4000 series on the 112. So you have 3200 TRV transmission, Allison transmission on the 106, and the 4000 TRV transmission on the Allison. So a bigger transmission on the 112. On the Summit hauler, you will get the rear AC and heat. There are some conversions out there who have that installed on their trucks as well, but this comes in very handy for your passengers in the back. The red will be heat, the blue light will be cold, center will turn it off. Right next to it, typically you have that fan switch, will give you a high, medium, and low setting. J brakes on both 112 and 106s. Again, those come in super handy, especially towing heavy equipment or a fifth wheel. Again, it does have a high setting and a low setting. With this particular model, we have an on and off switch for that J brake. The trailer brake, we do have the red arc system on our trucks. Of course, you do have Apple and Android capability when it comes to our Stinger stereo sound system you see up here. This is to plug into the USB to get that Apple and Android setting. We have a bass control because we do have subs underneath those seats, and of course all your AC controls. So in terms of the Summit hauler conversion 112s, the interior will be similar. All that will be different is the engine. If you're looking for a 112, you'll get a bigger engine bigger transmission, a little bigger truck when it comes to the difference between the Summit Hauler 106s and 112s. The interior will be the same, and I would say the same for the sport chassis. The interiors are pretty much similar in design. They have more of a flatter dashboard with a little bit of a different setup. When it comes to storage, we got a nice little storage box here. Again, we do have 4 compartments on the bed, and of course you could actually add that third storage box in the back if you need extra storage. But a nice little storage here to put personal items. It does have a LED light inside. Cup holders here, like I mentioned earlier, and an extra cup holder for your passenger up front. The seats are air ride up front. This one in this model has heated seats and lumbar system. One of the good things about those seats are those hand rests. They are adjustable, and there is 2 on each seat. So when you're driving, you know, it could be very comfortable. Again, even though you are parked and just waiting for somebody, you could actually relax like you will be at home. So it is adjustable. There is a wheel underneath here that kind of turns and adjusts as needed, and it could go up or down depending on how you turn that wheel. Again, this is a 2022 Summit Hauler conversion M2 106. This one does come with the Cummins 8.9 liter engine, 360 horsepower, 1150 foot-pounds of torque. It does have the Allison 3200 TRV. Right next to us is our 2011 Freightliner M2 112 sport chassis conversion. This one does come with the DD13 and with the Allison 4000 TRV transmission. So if you guys are interested in either of these trucks, if you guys have more questions about the differences between those trucks, and if you want to come in, I do have a customer supposed to come in pretty soon to test drive both of those trucks to kind of feel the difference. I mean, there is a difference, and you will feel it when driving on the highway. But again, it all depends on your price tag and what you need that truck for. There is a significant price difference in those trucks because it's a bigger truck, a bigger engine. The 112s will be more expensive than the 106s. So that's why it's always good to know more about what you need that truck for to see if that investment is worth getting the 112 or the 106. So in the meantime, guys, I try to give as much information as I can today. But if I missed anything, feel free to put questions below. You guys can give me a call at 303-684-3412. Or you guys could also email me at marlon.bledman@transwest.com. I'll try to answer all of the information. And of course, if I don't know the answer, I'll find it for you guys. So there is never a dumb question. Feel free to just ask it and I'll find the answer. If I don't, I will definitely find the answer. I have enough people on my side that knows more information about those trucks. So I will get the answers for you guys. So in the meantime, thank you guys for tuning in today. And I'll see you guys back here tomorrow for another video. Again, this is a comparison between the 112s and the 106s conversion. Thank you.